The magic number is 71. 70 matches done, league stage over. It's time for the playoffs. And the interesting part is, because of the way the tournament is set up, for a change, we're saying business end, playoffs, but not quite do or die, simply because the privilege that the two teams have tonight of coming first and second means they have two chances, two shots at getting to Ahmedabad on the final day. Gujarat play Rajasthan tonight. The winner goes straight through. The loser also flies to Ahmedabad, but they wait to play another game, and that game will be the winner of Lucknow versus Bangalore from tomorrow in Kolkata. That's the road to the final road to the final of 2022. A quick reminder of the game that lies ahead. From the Eden Gardens, the iconic Eden Gardens in Kolkata, it is the top team of the league stage, Gujarat, taking on the team that found its way in the last game to second place and dethroned Lucknow into third. It's Gujarat versus Rajasthan, blue versus pink, coming up very shortly. Welcome to Cricbuzz Live, the first of 4 games in the playoff stage, and let's welcome our panel as quickly as we possibly can. Shaun Pollock and Ajay Jadeja. Ajay, I love the red behind you, but we've got nice blue playing pink in. First thoughts, can you pick a winner at this stage? Any team that gives an advantage for you?
Well, it's a tough one. I mean, how do you pick between these guys? I mean, you had a whole league stage. 1 is 1 and 2, not just in numbers, but it's only a difference of 1 game. And pretty similar in style as well. I mean, unlike most teams in the IPL that we see, they go for horses for courses, they change in strategies. These two teams give you a different feel this time. I mean, they've stuck to their side. They've had changes because, some injuries or some other reason, but they've not tinkered too much. They've stuck to whatever they believed at the start of the season, and they've carried on playing the cricket that they know playing best. They've won a few, they've lost a few. 1 game difference. It's a tough one to pick. It's a great game to watch today.
Fair enough. Sometimes it's okay. We generally refer to that as sitting on the fence, but I think we'll all end up doing that. When it's that close, when it's that crucial, it's a comfortable place to sit. Ajay, hang in there. It's a very pretty looking fence.
Look, I've been spending so much time at the Hindi slow, and we have a saying there, GB. I mean, Captain there, Mr. Sehwag made this statement. I don't know whether Shaun would get it, but the viewers might, because cricket अनिश्चितताओं का खेल है, यहाँ पे हर prediction fail है.
I think Shaun would get that. Go on, Shaun, give it a try.
When you're involved with cricket and you make a prediction, it's bound to fail.
Close. Cricket is a game of glorious uncertainties, basically, is what he said. Anishchit. Yeah. So there's nothing that's certain. Nishchit means certain, Anishchit means uncertain. So the old cliche of glorious uncertainty. So we've got to this, Shaun. Quick update on the toss before I come to you. It's Hardik Pandya who's won the toss, and he's asked the men in pink to bat first. So it's a brand new surface in that sense. No more tired pitches. How much of a difference will that make, Shaun Pollock?
Yeah, I mean, I love this stage of the tournament. This is what we've all been waiting for. Once it gets to the knockouts, it's do or die. It's the business section. I mean, they've obviously got 2 bites of the cherry, both teams. And I think it's the fairest system that you have to offer around, that you do have 1 and 2 play each other. One goes straight through, whoever wins, and then the other ones get the second chance. And we've never seen a winner, if I stand to be corrected, but I don't think we've ever seen a winner that hasn't come from the 1 versus 2 games in the RPL. So it's just a mental space that you're in as well. And, I think both teams looking forward. For me, I just feel that Rajasthan going with a bit more, I'll use the word momentum. We don't like to use it on the show, but they've got a little bit more from the way they played in the last game. I just think everything's clicking nicely for them. I think the new surface that they're going to play on also works into the advantage of someone like a Joss Butler, who's maybe just lost a little bit of touch, maybe the ball holding a little bit. This surface should come on nicely. And both of them are getting to do what they want to do. You're going to have Rajasthan batting first, and then you're going to have GT try and chase it down. So there are the big players who've performed the best. Butler well out in head with the runs he's got. Chahal, and he's got his 26 wickets. And there's the matches and the situation that they've played in when Rajasthan batted first, high percentage, Gujarat chasing high percentage as well. So, yeah, I think this is nicely set up. But without me sitting, I'm not going to sit on the fence. I'm going to say to you, I think it's going to be a Rajasthan victory.
But those numbers, Ajay, are interesting. The last set that we saw, it's nice when you see two teams who have their individual preferences, and in a sense, both are getting to do it. Rajasthan have preferred batting first. I know it was different stages in the tournament, but if they're getting their preferred choice, Gujarat are getting to chase, which they've done so well, it makes it for an even better matchup.
Yeah, I think ideally both of them, what they like to do before the toss is what they've got. I mean, this is how they played, and Gujarat. It's amazing to see that number, especially with the side that they have. In fact, I feel that it's their bowling that's really had the reason why they win. But in those stats, you look at them and say, they've chased down 6 times. But I would worry because out of those chases, a couple of chases are ones where, you finished off the last ball. Yes, you had great end to it, but it's a matter of one ball. It could have gone the other way and those numbers would look totally different. And the other chases that they've had because of, their bowling. They bowled the opposition out or, restricted them to such low totals. So, so they're both getting to do what they would have liked to do. And it sets up for a perfect, not an eliminator, but, the knockout stage. It's an ideal situation to start a game like this because otherwise sometimes, toss. I hope what's the due situation there, GB, in Calcutta? Because, in a game like this, you don't want an advantage or a disadvantage to a certain side. And in this case, I think it's a fair start even after the toss. Otherwise, toss have a huge impact sometimes.
Yeah, I've ended up having a lot of fun with dew over the years, but that's generally been when I'm at the ground on all fours, crawling around, trying to see what's on the surface. But generally, clear skies, a big difference between the temperature of the air and the temperature on the ground, that's when dew tends to form. So when it's been raining, and I can tell you folks, I'm sitting in Kolkata, we had torrential rain. From about 12:29 p.m., it rained and rained and rained. That was the bad news. The good news is the rain went away. A couple of clouds around still, but the rain has pretty much passed. And at this time of night, if you don't have a nor'wester, Shaun, it's not going to rain anymore for today as well. So all those rules and regulations.
We're holding you to that. We're going to hold you to that. A local weatherman, if you get it wrong, you're in big trouble with the viewers.
I hope I don't get that wrong. But yeah, we were going to discuss a little bit about what happens if this match is washed out. Let's not even talk about that. It's an unlikely possibility. It may happen tomorrow, but we'll come to that later. For now, let's go to the playing 11s. One team has made one change, and that is the Gujarat Titans. They've gone in with Ajay Jadeja Joseph, and he comes in for Lockie Ferguson. In a sense, a like-for-like replacement, Shaun. Would you have liked to have maybe seen both play?
I think I've actually been impressed more with Joseph, to be totally honest, in the tournament in place of Lockie Ferguson. Interesting that they decided to stay with Kishore. There was talk that maybe the surface wasn't going to grip and maybe you could play both, or when I say both, extra seamer, unless you got rid of another international batter. But the least amount of changes you make at this stage of the tournament, the better. And I think that one actually, from what we've seen so far in the tournament, that actually strengthens things.
Reaction from you, Ajay? Otherwise, obviously, the idea is you've found your perfect 11, barring injury, at this stage of the tournament.
Yeah, I think, they've not tinkered too much. They've had to when there were injuries. What you saw with Lockie Ferguson, he did play the last game, yes, but, a couple of games before that, 2-3 games, sitting outside, you felt that, maybe he was injured and they kept out. But it just, shows you that they probably trust Jadeja Joseph more. Or more than trust, I think it's the style of bowling. I think with Lockie Ferguson, what you get is special or different kind of stuff. GT as a team have played with, play the style that is consistent. So I think they've gone for a bowler who's probably a length bowler, or, we could bowl at with Lockie Ferguson, you get him to bowl, whether he's bowling in the power play, bowling in the middle or in the end. The 6 balls that come out have variations all the time. And what I've seen with GT is that they like to stick to somebody with, consistency, whatever is your style. So they've gone there. And the other worry that all of us, even people, at least I don't know what was happening in English, but with GT, you always thought, if there was a, slight, not weakness, but a gap that they wanted to fill, you would want a little extra batting. And so, they've stuck to Wade instead of Lockie Ferguson. That would have been their choice, because I doubt that he was ever going to take 4 bowlers out and add another batsman. And I agree with Shaun that Sai's bowled well, but you're not sure, on a ground like this, whether the spinner would be as useful as not. So they've taken a chance. They've taken a chance that they've put all their eggs at the top. They're hoping that by the time Sai comes, they would have guys who would have picked up wickets, and that's what they've gone for.
Yeah, it's probably the batting, Shaun, looking a little bit thin in terms of length, which is why you couldn't afford to have left a Matthew Wade out and got Lockie in, however much you might have wanted him.
Yeah, but you've got this new all-rounder by the name of Rashid Khan. He comes in the bottom order there. He's a fantastic find for them. Yeah, it is. I suppose people also look and say, oh, Lockie Ferguson, he played for Kolkata. But how many games did he actually play at Kolkata? Because, most of the tournaments that he was involved with them happened in Dubai and in Sharjah and obviously Abu Dhabi. So, not that much experience of actually bowling on this ground. I think it's a good choice. I'm not unhappy about it at all.
Yeah, it would have been a big difference if the last season had been actually played in India, and therefore maybe 8 games for Ferguson on this pitch with that in those conditions. So while he played for the franchise, not necessarily as much experience, as Shaun said, on this iconic ground. On to the opposition. They have really had a settled 11. They had an option of Kuldeep Sen at one point in time, but the way Ubaid McCoy has been bowling off late, this 11 pretty much, Ajay, picks itself.
Yeah, look at this 11. You've got quality, especially in that bowling. And batting, of course, Josh Butler and, Sanju Samson are totally special. Hitmire, I've enjoyed watching him this year, and it's been fun. He's just come back, because when you take a little break, whatever the reason may be, he spent a few days in the quarantine, back on the ground, didn't have that great game at the end. So, but they had no other choice. They had to go with this side. They've looked settled. But I love the 2 spinners bowling in tandem. They're 2 quality spinners, and I think the key to this team, yes, we look at numbers of Butler and you look at all the batsmen which are flamboyant players, but the key has been the bowlers, Bolt and Prasidh at the top, and Ashwin and Chahal. Chahal's almost bowled 18th over in most of the games, 17th, 18th. So when the power play or the quick time, when you order your food quickly and it comes, Chahal has delivered there as well.
Yeah, have a look at that, Shaun. Interestingly, Rajasthan were the one franchise that had, if there was a weakness, it was quality of spin being delivered overall. Now they've picked not just 1 but 2.
Yeah, those facts are fantastic. Economy rate of Ashwin, he probably deserved to pick up more wickets than he has. Chahal, because maybe he does operate in those later overs, maybe picks up the odd little cherry wicket every once in a while because guys are going so hard at him. But then just also look at the experience. They've played on this kind of ground before. So if there's anyone from a spinning department who's able and capable to change and adapt to the conditions, they've seen it all before. So I think that experience of the amount of games they've played in Kolkata would obviously also stand them in good stead, and they'll be defending. And the pressure that the teams will be under when they chase against them is immense. So I've really enjoyed the partnership that they've put on, and I'm sure they'll be looking for a big performance from those 2 again tonight.
Ajay, Shaun mentioned that we unearthed an all-rounder by the name of Rashid Khan. Rajasthan, on the other side, have also unearthed an all-rounder by the name of Ravichandran Ashwin. We all know his ability, but it's one thing to say that, listen, Ashwin can bat, but he's got opportunities up the order, and even when it's been not up the order, he's won games with the bat, especially that 40 of 23 in the game they needed to get into the top 2.
Yeah, we watched him over the years in Test match cricket. Yes, his ability, but this format, especially that innings that you just referred to, just changes the whole dynamics of that side. And he's done a wonder. He's had a great season. I look at, you can't probably see that in the numbers in wickets and runs, but it's allowed this team to play the way they would like to play. Like you said, he's walked in at number 3 when early wickets fallen. He's walked in at number 5, where, at a middle stage where they thought, we can't send in Hitmire and Parag at this stage, maybe 3-4 overs, let's take a chance. Then that interesting, whether retired hurt or strategically coming out or whatever. So when you have a player like that who's actually in the side purely for his bowling, and adds that, it just, gives you such confidence. And, I'm happy to see, what he's done, because I'm not a great admirer of his, leg spin bowling that he does, or flippers that he has because of his spin. And he always is trying different things. He's trying to improve. But this is something that I really admire and enjoy, because this is something he already had. He's not only come up with different styles of, stance and things like that, but he's actually come out and delivered in this format with his batting, which is a huge plus. And I think, maybe Indian cricket, I don't know whether they'll use him like that or not, but gives them another option. And when you look at Ashwin now, you just don't look at just a pure spinner for 4 overs, not a great fielder, and you say, oh, no, but he can bat. And so, that gives you a little cushion. And I think he's made a leap in his, he's very late in his career, but he's still, I think, made a huge leap in this career in this format, because don't forget, this man had been left out for a couple of years, and no one likes being left out. So he's shown that, if you think I'm short somewhere, I'll go and add something more. But I just hope that he bowls his off spin, because there's nobody in the world who can bowl that off spin like that.
Yeah, early in the tournament, it was probably Hardik Pandya who's on the field today, who's almost sending a message saying, not only can I bowl, not only am I starting the bowl again, I'm opening the bowling at 140 plus, batting up the order, message to the selectors. Shaun, even at this stage in the career, we saw the intensity when Ashwin was picking up wickets in the last game and, of course, scoring runs. Is he almost sending a message to say, look, I can be one of you guys still?
Yeah, I don't know if he's really trying to send a big message. We don't know what his aspirations are in the T20 format, whether he wants to go to a World Cup and play his part. But, he wants to play his part for the team. He's proud about his individual skills, and he wants to put his best foot forward, whether it be with bat or ball. And he's shown that. I was interesting. I actually had a bit of video interaction with him a while back with regards to trying to help his batting. He was trying to look at ways of being a bit more explosive and being able to clear the boundary a bit more often, because when he came in and does per certain positions. So just asked me for a few thoughts. And that is the nature of the beast, isn't it? He's always looking to improve. And I think that's the key point. He's quite far in his career, but still conscious of always trying to get a little bit better. He wants to play at the highest level as often as possible. And if you keep improving your skills, you'll do just that.
Yeah, he's been improving the skills on camera as well, along with obviously picking Shaun Pollock's brains. You can see that he's got his own little social media platform, and he's got an eye out on the future. But when it comes to doing the talking, and when it comes to a bat doing the talking, there's been one bat that's been doing it, but not necessarily through the entire season. Ajay, it's not often that you see a guy who's at the top of the tree when it comes to number of runs scored, and over the last few matches, it's been a run drought. Joss Buttler, look at the difference. 491 first 7 innings, strike rate plus average in orbit, 240 Basra. After that, it's just he looks like a different player.
Yeah, yes, this happens. It's just that it's all happened together for him. When he scored runs, it's been, in a couple of games that he scored hundreds. In fact, 3, when he went back to back, and then, he's had a bad run. If I was on the GT side, I'd probably worry about when I look at that number. I'd say, because he's a quality player, he's not somebody who's just come the other day. So you know what he can do. And for me, a batsman is, what you see on the left and right. These are two sides of a batsman. I would pick a batsman like this because, on a bad day, even if you've got a 0 or, that's possible. But when you have a good day, you're making sure that you take the side through, or you destroy the opposition. So GT would be worrying looking at that and saying, listen, which side of that graphic that we saw on our screen, which side is he going to turn up on? Because it's not that he's struggled against a certain thing. It's just that it happens. You get out a couple of times in a regular thing, doesn't make you any lesser than the other side of that graphic. So it's something that might happen with most people when you look at 490 runs over a season, anybody scored, but it'll probably be he's got 101, then a couple of bad ones, then 100, and then it's just for him that it's all happened together in either sides. So from GT's point of view, you would worry looking at that. You don't want him to change the numbers on the right side today.
Yeah. 300s in 4 innings at one stage, looked invincible, then a turnaround. But we have hit the reset button, Shaun, when it comes to the surfaces. So it's almost a new tournament in a way. New venue, fresh pitches. You briefly mentioned early on in the show that Butler might enjoy these conditions. So Ajay says no worries. You also say no worries for RR as far as Butler goes?
Yeah, I think he's due. It's not like he's actually been getting out in some quite odd ways. There's a couple of times he's walked across. And I just think with the surface coming on, ball and bat, he's used to that kind of stuff. I mean, he's got 300s and 350s, so that in 6 innings, he's got over the 50 mark, and he's won how many man of the matches. So he's had his impact already. They'll just be hoping that he comes good again, maybe with an innings in this match, something like a 30 or 40, and then save a really big one for the final if they manage to get into that. But yeah, I wouldn't be overly concerned. I think the conditions today will definitely play into his hands.
Yeah, and they had a few problems early on. Joss Butler was tiding over the problems because he was scoring hundreds for fun, and the main problem they had was who accompanies Butler at the top of the order. It was a muddle. Padikkal was initially Jaiswal, then out he went. Padikkal came to the top of the order because that's where he apparently should have belonged. Samson went down. Ashwin came at 3. Now, Ajay, things are starting to settle down after they've sent young Yashasvi up the order to join Joss Butler.
Yeah, and I mean, he's only had 4 innings since he's returned. But even in the first couple before he went out, he had a couple of good innings. I think he's one of those most improved players when you look at, from last year, he's added. The strike rate's definitely gone up. I mean, he's probably not consistent and goes on and gets those big scores. But he's given what RR actually needs at the start, because you don't look at all the players to play through the innings. The youngsters have to go out there and do a different kind of job, and he's gone out there, thrown his bat, not like crazily thrown his bat, but he's played strokes, and he's given that start that they really want, because everybody in that side, Butler of course can do, everybody knows what he can do, Samson on his day, Hitmeyer, so they've got that momentum going right at the start. And Yashasvi Jaiswal, for me, if you look at the games that he's played, 4 after he came back and 3-4 before he played, so within those 7 innings, he's got 4 or 5 innings that have made impact into the game. So for me, he's been actually the key. I don't know why he was left out in the middle to bring Padikkal at the top. Because Padikkal's been he looked pretty comfortable and happy at number 4. He's felt comfortable there. So maybe, because Padikkal had a bigger name or somebody who, compared to both of them, so they felt that, we need to bring him. But when they brought him to open, he was he was as successful as he was at 4, and so they went back to him. They've tried all that, but this team has actually settled down. And, with that thing, Obed McCoy comes in and, adds that right at the end, the slog overs. Otherwise, Chahal had to bowl, because Trent Bolt and Prasidh Krishna don't really enjoy bowling towards the end. So, with Obed McCoy coming in this list, makes that difference. And both the left-handers in the opposition who like to, their arcs are this way, Obed McCoy. For me, Obed McCoy is the key today. I mean, if you ask me how, there'll be a start, which is obvious, whoever has a great start. Well, when it goes deeper now that GT is chasing, Obed McCoy is the key. And Jaiswal coming into that side has probably allowed them to, play it that way.
Yeah, so settled 11s. And in fact, what Ajay said about Devdutt Padikkal, he's actually showing better numbers at number 4. So it's all worked out in the end. Whether or not they'll play around with Ashwin, we'll find out soon. But one person we will see in action fairly soon with Hardik Pandya, again confirming, winning the toss, bowling first, Shaun, is going to be Indian spearhead Mohammad Shami. And how good has he been? Might just see 3 overs in the power play from him. But that's really been a role for the likes of him and Umesh and a few other bowlers.
Yeah, his power play has been fantastic. He's struck up front. He's picked up wickets. He's got them early starts. His economy rate's exceptional at that time of the innings, because anything that beats the infield goes away to the boundary. So I've been really impressed. I mean, his control, his confidence, he almost seems like he strolls to the crease knowing exactly what he's going to deliver. There's no ifs or buts. He knows how to hit his lengths. He bowls nice and tight on the stumps. He doesn't offer up width. If you miss, he often hits the top of the stumps or clatters into your pads. Yeah, for me, he's just been his usual sensational self. And as I say, I think he almost gets better with every RPL that we see him play.
Yeah, ageless almost. Ajay, we've the story of this tournament, I think, has been the unearthing of the Mohsin Khans and the Yash Dayals and the Mukesh Chaudhrys. But at the other end of the spectrum, the experience of a Mohammad Shami is invaluable.
Oh, totally invaluable. And GT where they are, you might not see that in numbers, but it is Mohammad Shami because, whether you chasing a total or starting a game, don't forget, it's the first couple of overs that sets the pace. And this man has set the pace for GT every time, if not with a wicket. With the first ball, in fact, in the tournament when they came in, picked up KL Rahul. He picked up another wicket off the first ball. So what Shaun was saying, he hits that length whenever or as soon as he starts, he just starts off from there. And he's actually been the reason why GT is where they are, because it's almost like a opening batsman. When you have an opening batsman who does well, your team does well. This man with bowling, the numbers don't tell you the story. Yes, economy is much better because he's been so accurate and nobody's taken a chance. This year, the fast bowlers have also had a good start. GB, when you go back to the start of this tournament, the first 10, 12, 15 games, the wickets were different. We've never seen wickets like that for fast bowlers in the IPL. And with somebody who's got that accuracy, all he had to do was what he does. He didn't try anything different. And he doesn't have those slower balls or something special that you see. He's not attractive. But ask a batsman, when you start an innings and if you don't get a width or you don't get anything off your pads, you will have to take a chance. And you don't take a chance in the first 2-3 overs. You wait for a while. And this man just carries on. And GT's been smart with him as well. So they've carried on. At times he's bowled 3 overs. If his fitness was good, I think he'd probably have bowled 4 as well because they had enough bowlers to bowl at the end. He's been an unsung hero in Indian cricket for a long time. He's been around Jasprit Bumrah. And I remember a game where there was the super over. I hope we don't have one tonight. But we had one super over. On one side was Jasprit Bumrah and the other side was Mohammad Shami. And everybody, all of us who watch Jasprit Bumrah day in and day out doing what he does so well, he beat him there as well. So he's always been an unsung hero, but he's just carried on doing what he knows best.
Yeah, he defended 5 on that particular occasion in that super over. So look out for Mohammad Shami to continue to deliver. No flamboyance. He's just someone who gets on and does his work. A little like Joy Bhattacharya. Whenever we ask him for a quiz question, quietly writes it down, pops it to us, and we're ready to go. Shaun Pollock doesn't like it often, but let's put it up anyway and see if he gets it. Already shaking his head. There we go. Joy factor question for today. What unique record in tests is held jointly by the bowling coach of a team in the playoffs? So we're only down to 4 teams, and Sri Lankan Uppul Chandana. What unique record in tests is held jointly by the bowling coach of a team in the playoffs? Well, there's just 4 teams, so make a list, look at all the 4 coaches, relate them to Uppul Chandana from Sri Lanka, and see what you can pick up from there. Hashtag Cricbuzz Live, get your answers back to us. And let's also remind you that we are in the playoffs, so you don't have to wait till a Sunday for Match Party. You can hop on, subscribe to Cricbuzz Plus, and the party animals are already at it. Yes, there they are. You can see it. There's lots of fun. There's singing, chatting, dancing. I don't know about how much of the dancing is going to happen. And I'm told that this time around there's going to be a little bit of a special because they're going to be in studio. What better place to have a party than actually in a studio? It might just set a trend here. Well, we are in our own little virtual studio, and we'll got one more order of business, Shaun Pollock. Actually, I won't even ask Shaun. 177, that's the score for Shaun Pollock, reserved. Do you go with your reserve score of 187, Ajay? Or do you have a change for the new surface?
189. 189's been this year's reserve.
Oh, the inflation. Okay, fine.
The inflation is, got there.
All right. So 177, 189. I've got to say that I'm going to be a little conjuice. I'm going to go backwards, and I'm going to go into the 160s. I'm going to go to 169. Tight game, and it might just be competitive. Good bowling attack for GT. So we have the 160s, the 170s, and the 180s. Lots of range for us to go with. That's all the time we have on the show, but we will promise you, 10th over, Cricbuzz Combox, we're going to be back. For now, from Ajay, Shaun, and myself, that's all on this first qualifier on Cricbuzz Live.